highest to lowest. That's right, folks. We are talking about a new Spike Lee joint today. It's been 5 years since his last film, that's a long time, man. What happened? I don't know. A lot of things could have happened. It's just hard to make movies today. Takes you a little bit longer. But here we are. This is a Apple film, so it's going to be on Apple TV for those of you interested. Why it's not in theaters is beyond me. After the success Apple had with F1, you'd think they might spring to put another movie in theaters. But whatever. Here we go. A new Spike Lee movie is now on Apple TV. What a great feeling to have, isn't it? I like Spike Lee a lot. He's a fun director who likes movies and has something to say about the world around him, which is always cool to see. And I like Denzel Washington a lot. I think he's very selective of his projects now. And this is an interesting choice for him. So let's get into it. Highest to lowest. This is a retelling of the 60s film High and Low from Akira Kurosawa, a huge influence on Spike Lee. I think a whole generation of guys is just fans of Kurosawa, and they want to make movies like that and talk about movies like that, which makes a lot of sense. That's a later period Kurosawa, this is a later period Spike Lee. So let's see what you have to get. This is set in the music industry. This is a music executive, a big producer in the music scene of New York City. And one day he thinks his son is kidnapped, but it turns out it is the son of his longtime friend and, I guess, employee who is actually kidnapped. So he has to figure out if he's going to give the ransom or if he's going to try to solve this problem in a different way. Very good stakes in this movie. That is a really fun concept to play with. This really high-ranking man, it can really give you the classism of the story. Here is somebody who has it all, and he's helping this person he's known pretty much his whole life who doesn't have the success he has. Can they balance that out and figure out the story? Figure out the angles to play and get his son back. Very interesting concept. High and Low is a movie I have not seen, but I want to, man. There's just so many Kurosawa films, and there's only so much time you have in your life. But that is such a Spike Lee story, taking that concept. It's kind of a thrillery, very intense drama, very, location-based thriller. And that is something that Spike wants to play with. This is a fascinating film. For a lot of reasons. There is so much to explore in here. I don't really know where to begin. I think we'll start with the fact that this feels like it's made by an old man. I love Spike. I love Spike Lee. I am a white guy in his 20s talking about Spike Lee. So my opinion, don't take it all wholeheartedly, okay? I think Do the Right Thing's a perfect film. I like a lot of his later works as well. But this has some Gen X boomer energy of man, I know how to solve everything. I'm the smartest man in the room. I built myself this empire. People are trying to take it away from me now with their modern technologies and shit. And I just know how to make things right the proper way. That's both the filmmaking and the main character. So that's going to be kind of annoying to some people. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that's happened. But it's noticeable. There is a definitely a different energy in this Spike Lee than stuff you've seen before. There's this self-assuredness where it doesn't need to be super showy because he's Spike Lee. It's Denzel Washington. They're comfortable guys who can just go in there and give you a solid performance. It's not their greatest works, but it's confident and comfortable. And that's assuredness you get from these guys who are veterans of this industry, both in terms of the music scene in the movie and behind the camera. I get it. There is a nature of, just let me show you how we do things here. I'm not going to risk it all for this, That's a choice to make. But it's also just solely New York. It's just Spike Lee saying, I love New York. Let me talk about New York for a minute. Let me have a guy look directly down the barrel of the lens and say, fuck Boston. That's what we're doing here. It's that type of a movie too. It's just like, sports are great. I love going to New York. I love looking at all these parades and these, baseball games. Everything's just awesome. Everything here is cool. Look at the subway. We're just having a great time, which is interesting. What makes it different than other like Spike Lee joints, though, is the classism of it all. These might be the wealthiest characters that are protagonists in a Spike Lee movie. Denzel Washington plays David King. He's this music producer. He's the highest guy in the world. He has millions upon millions of dollars, and he's just this old school guy who knows it when he hears it, right? He's one of those types like, my intuition has gotten me this far. Nothing about this can change, but the world around him is changing, and his company might be bought out, and like the shareholders like, dude, we're not where we used to be. Things are different. Things with his wife are different. His son's trying to talk to him about this modern generation, this being online and the social media presence. Like, it's important and impactful. You can't stay away from the numbers that social media gives you. But it's Denzel Washington, so he's like, man, come on. It's not always about being online. It's about being smart and like the most important guy in the room. And then shit happens around them, and he thinks his son's kidnapped, but it's actually his son's friend, and it's his friend's son that gets kidnapped, and stakes get really high. First off, not the strongest script in the world. I think there's some really weak points in this. It's really annoying to say a movie called Highest to Lowest has some really high highs and some really low lows, but it does. There are some weak performances, I would say, from the police officers, which could be Spike Lee saying, fuck the police, what have they ever done for us? The officers in this movie are ineffectual and mean and don't do anything useful. They are a huge component to the actual like crime thriller case of like getting this kidnapped boy back to safety and figuring out who is pulling the strings behind this all. But they are rude to all the black characters and annoying in every single capacity, which does feel intentional, but the performances aren't strong and they're not that compelling. It's Denzel Washington, so that is the best performance in the movie. But he knows how to crank it up at certain times. There are some selective moments where you just feel Denzel being like, yeah, I know how to do this. When he's playing opposite Jeffrey Wright, it is so good. When he's on the phone call with A$AP Rocky and they're doing like the actual like negotiations, that shit's incredible. But just the mundane stuff is so boring and it doesn't feel great. And his wife and his son, they're fine. I think what they're asked to do is okay. There's 12 years difference between the actress playing the wife and the son, and then Denzel's older. So it's weird. I don't like it. And Jeffrey Wright, man, my favorite performance in the movie probably. You got to get someone who can balance out the stuff that Denzel's doing. And Jeffrey Wright, he's getting there, man. Like, he is so on that level. He is more religious, this more apathetic character. He's the one whose son gets kidnapped. And the entire time, everyone in the room's telling him not to get mad, not to freak out. But he's worked hard for his position. He's loyal to his friend. And he already has a history of violence in his life. So he just wants to do right by his son and right by this world. But no one's going to let him do that. And it's just like the perfect contrast to Denzel, who's like, not my boy. I don't have to pay the fine. It's not my boy. I'm not paying you the ransom, Incredibly smart stuff. I love those two playing off each other. The whole time, Jeffrey Wright is locked in. I think Denzel switches it on here and there, but Jeffrey is he's like, yeah, this is right. I'm perfect for this role. And he is perfect for this role. It's a great performance. Some really specific editing choices, which I'm not against. There are, in like distinctive moments, especially during handshakes or hugs or like action sequences, we take the shot again, so we like see like these people are like handshaking, and then we'll take the same shot from a different angle. I don't know a lot about music terms, but it kind of reminds me of like a record scratch where we're like going back to like that same beat to hit that same note again, just showing you like we're getting the same thing from a different flavor. That's what we're doing here. There are a couple like wipes from transitions with like the logo of the studio, which is an interesting choice. And then just some like weird stylistic choices using like a different grain of film in selective beats. I get it, man. Go crazy. It's about music, and music's about like the flow and the energy. It's about New York, and that city's got a life of its own. Just trying these new things. They're not what hinder this movie. Every time I'm like, we're cutting to like this really specific moment, or we're seeing something in a different angle, we have like very curious choices. That's not what's upsetting me. Like the editing and the pacing of this, that's not the problem. The script is a problem. The acting, sometimes a problem. The score is really, really weird. I don't know why that was the choice, but it's just so kind of courtroom thriller from the 90s. And it's just, throughout, it is so prominent. Every time we are not playing like a song, like an actual song, some rap or some hip hop or something like that, some R&B, it's just a really weird score that feels like it's from a Netflix show. It's not like out of contrast with what we're seeing. It's just so stylistically different in the tone that this movie's going for. Because this movie really switches up in the second half. The first 40 minutes are curious pieces. They're not the strongest. But then we do like the switcheroo with the bag of money, and we're on the subway and fuck Boston and all that stuff. Some sort of action beats come from that. And then it's just straight up A$AP Rocky takes over for a bit. I'm not too familiar with him as an actor. I think he's done a couple other things here and there. I don't know much about his music either. I'm sorry. Like, look at me. I'm maybe not the target audience for A$AP Rocky's music, but I respect him. I think he's an interesting guy. And it was really good in this. He plays this character called Young Felony. He is the person that kidnaps the boy. All of it's kind of like the way to get David King to notice him because he's really talented, and like this is how you do it now. It's again that theme of like the out of touch old guy of like the modern generation. Like you have to make a name for yourself before you can make a name for yourself is essentially what the A$AP Rocky character is saying. And David King just goes, dude, shut up. You're being a dumbass. You're not getting anything. I'm taking my fucking money back. You're an asshole. And it's just so good. Like the two of them sitting in like a recording studio, going back and forth, dropping like fake lyrics for a song about the current situation they're in, is some of the best stuff I've seen in a movie this year. And then everything else around that is just really not great. But it's fine. I think it's perfectly well handled. It's a lot more like high class society stuff than we see from Spike Lee when he's shooting it. So there's a lot of interesting camera tricks in that way, but they're still like the staple of Spike Lee tricks that he's playing with. But when it gets gritty and into the dirt, and it's like A$AP Rocky is this really lunatic-ish fan, that's when it's really honed in. And it's like, yeah, let's focus on this. Let's do this. Let's look at this rapper trying so hard to make a name for himself. That shit's awesome. That shit's great. And that's when Denzel locks in too. It's just all like the high-rise stuff. You're like, oh, okay, let's take it back a minute. When it's Spike Lee really in New York, the dirty underbelly, we're on the subway, we're going to like a Puerto Rican parade. Man, we're locking in. We're doing some fun shit. But there's a lot that just weighs this one down as well. It is the kind of film you make after you've made a lot of films, you know? It's interesting. It's unique. It's not bad, you know? Good music. The score is weird. And if you just want to see these actors you like, they're here. This is a Denzel Washington-led movie set in like New York City, and he's a music producer. That's really cool. You know, if you want to see a remake of a Kurosawa film, that's really cool. Ice Spice is here for one scene. I don't know. I wish this just had a little bit more juice going for it. But I'm not opposed to anything I saw. So many choices are being made, and they're interesting, you know? But I wonder how this is going to play for a lot of people. Da 5 Bloods is still better in my opinion. Black Klansman is still better in my opinion. But what are you going to do? You know? It's fine enough. And I think the ending is all right. It does what it needs to. There's a lot of boomer energy to it towards the end, which is not going to be for everyone, but I'm still a Spike. No matter what he wants to make, I'm still on board. So, highest to lowest, with a 2 in there, like the number 2, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good